Your inner child wants you to make a pillow fort. I say this to you from under a blanket because number one, it's cold, and number two, I'm trying to work on honoring my inner child, right? And I just kept hearing today, make a little fort, make a little nest. And like, I go nest mode in general, right? Where I want all the blankets and I want all the pillows. But I've been curating, I'm in my office right now, and I have made a nest in here. And the concept of like connecting, it's like a playroom. If you had a playroom growing up, I have a playroom again. And if you are trying to get back in touch with your inner child, or you're trying to just find a little more whimsy and lean into it, make a pillow fort. I'm telling you. I'm just telling you. There's something about it. There's something about, I got one of those arm pillows that, well, I'll show you. Hold on. One of these bad boys. And I just sit and I work and I write and I laugh and I cry and whatever it is. And I am cozy. And I mean, when I was a kid, I used to say my favorite color was soft. So take it from me, I'm a little bit of a cozy expert. Your inner child wants you to be cozy. Your inner child wants you to feel safe, wants you to feel supported and loved and in a womb of your own creation, and a room of your own creation. And if you can create that space, even if it's in your room, if it's in part of your kitchen where you can sit down, maybe you can look out a window, just creating a space, however small it has to be, where you can just be that inner child who has a safe place. Maybe you didn't have that. You can make that now. You can make that now. And if you did have it, you can reconnect to what it felt like to be a kid and just to color or just to whatever it was that you like to do. And as much time as you possibly can, I've tried to do this instead of scrolling. I think we all sing, but I think we all scroll too much. I really do. I think we all spend too much time just staring at a black box that doesn't necessarily provide anything back. Now, I have met great friends through it. I have made great connections with cool people through it. I'm not knocking it. That's not what this is about. I'm just saying your time and your attention are precious. And when you were a kid, you probably had things you enjoyed doing. And as someone who is trying really hard not to be depressed, but actually enjoying it, do those creative things that you like to do when you were a kid and let it be silly. Let it be silly, let it not make sense. You do not owe, I was listening to an I Understood video, or I love her. And she just said you don't owe, you don't owe this sense of clarity. You don't owe anyone sense. And I've been also listening to Stop Making Sense lately. So then it's aligning. Making sense is overrated. Nothing makes sense. Your inner child doesn't have to make sense. Your higher self doesn't have to make sense. Connecting the two of those as an idea, I mean, it makes sense to me, but it doesn't have to you. So if that's something that is just in your mind, if it's in your mind as well as it's in mine, if you're picking up what I'm putting down and your inner child could use it, yeah, get the pillows, get the blankets out, pop some popcorn, but don't put on a movie or a show. That's when you get your journal. That's when you get your paints. That's when you get your knitting needles. Do the creative thing you're working on from the most calm and cozy place you possibly can. Because it might seem like a no-brainer, but if you're doing your creative work, which is, it's not necessarily difficult in a cumbersome way, but it can be difficult emotionally. It can be a lot, or it can be a lot, it can be physically taxing, depending on what you're doing. Cultivating an environment that says you're safe here, you can create here, you can make what you need to make here, and giving yourself that and being grateful for the reasons that has come about, for whatever it is. It's just, I'm so glad I finally set this chair up to be where I paint. Whatever it is. I'm so glad that I have this room to put my piano in, right? Like, just to be present and grateful for the pillow fort and say, I am so glad I put those blankets in this corner, and I'm so glad that I have these pillows. And I don't know, I've been surprised with how good it feels to just be like a kid again and try not to think too hard. And I didn't really realize how much I was overthinking. And how when you grow up, you kind of can lose the self-assuredness that you had, maybe. I don't know why. But we have a choice every day where if we want to pursue something, we get to do that if we want to spend time doing it. And as an adult, you can choose. You have the ability to choose. And I know if you're depressed, it doesn't feel like there's a choice sometimes. But we have the choice, and how beautiful, how lucky are we that we have the choice to be able to create or consume. And we have the choice to be able to overthink or not. And I know it doesn't sound like that is a conscious choice, but it's really a muscle, because I overthink with the best of them. And I'm working on not doing that. And whatever, if it's meditation, if it's going to the gym, if it's whatever it is for you, do as much of the thing that makes the creating possible as you can. And sit in a nest and make stuff, because you're not going to get things done in a bad environment. And that could just be turning your desk to face the window instead of facing away from it, right? It doesn't have to be a huge shift, but just be present, be mindful, sit with your inner child. What do they want? How can you help them? What can you do for them? Who can you be for them that you didn't have? Maybe you've never had a bad day in your life. You don't have to have Matilda's parents to wish that you had Miss Honey, and you get to be your own Miss Honey. And I'm very, very thankful for my family. And I'm not saying that, I grew up like Matilda did with no understanding or sympathy or anything. That was not my experience. I love my family. They're great. But you still need to show up for yourself and parent yourself. And these two things can exist at the same time. I think some people maybe feel guilty around the idea of reparenting. I'm like, oh, my parents did a fine job, and I think I'm pretty well adjusted. It's like, you still can take on that role. It doesn't mean that you feel that there were deficiencies or there was abuse or anything. It just means that you can wrap yourself up in a blanket. You can get yourself some pillows, and you can say, what would it be like to play today? What would it be like to just have fun? And it takes the pressure off. And in this world, there's a lot of pressure. If the thing that you like to do when you play is the thing that you do for a living, right? Like, for me, it can be hard to play musically. It can be hard to get in the sandbox because I'm, I play music for a living. How can it still be this fun thing? And sometimes it hasn't been, but it is again for me now. And it just feels good to play and laugh. I mean, sorry to be so weepy, but make the pillow fort. It's good for you. And, there's something to be said for just being your own, the one who warms your own blanket. I don't know how to put it better than that. But the one who nurtures yourself, and the one who supports yourself, and the one who, When all else fails, you have yourself. And you can pour into that and pull your blanket around you and say thank you to yourself. Yeah. I don't know where this came from. Anyway, I hope you understand what I'm talking about, and it means something to you. If it doesn't, that's fine. I'll just be that crazy lady in the blanket. I'll own it. I'm very warm and comfortable. And because I'm warm and comfortable, I'm making things, and that's something to be proud of. So, all right, that's it. Good night.